was started to DJing like when I was teenager, and that time like like I'm the first guy playing like techno and acid sounds to my country, and that having like progressive house, and we made some non-resident events like everywhere in our country. And at that time, like the Mongolians, they don't much understand our like music. When I was high school, I'm living in a German family, and it's in a Cologne. That was like 2004, and I was just like 14 years old. And then first time when I went to the Germany, like I was like very hip hop boy. And when I returned, I became like trance music lover. And that time, like in my hometown, like actually no internet, like dial-up, like shit. And I collect some CDs, and at that time, and when I go to the Germany, and I discovered like trance music, then I returned to my country, and like people always listening to local hip hop, like local music, and also the Mongolian DJ scene starts from trance and drum-based music from the 1990. Then like one day, like I was like 16 or something, and John Digweed like get me into like more dark sound and more techno feeling. Then like I'm getting into progressive music and techno music. It was like 2007. Then like I'm returned to my country in 2008, and I'm trying to start to beat matching, to DJing, and I'm start parties to 2009 in my country. And that time like people still playing like trance music, and I'm getting more like John Digweed, Sasha, and Sven Webb, and like Lauren Kanye, Jeff Mills, like discovered the techno, and then me and my three friends, we start the project called the Majesty Records, and like we start to. That time we have like own club called Club Temple, and it's actually the first techno club, like capacity for like 700 people. And it was like the first techno underground club we were open. And since when we start, like we booked over like 100 international DJs to Mongolia. I bring to the inspiration to my country. The people like they saw like professional artists, like how they play. Like Mongolia have like one festival called Playtime. Me and my crew, we start to that festival, like having the electronic music stage. And now the festival is having like 7 stages. I'm running the festival, intro music festival, and I did twice in my country. And it's actually the first techno festival in China, and it's also the first techno festival in Mongolia. And like every year, like we book more than 10 international DJs. For me, I'm very love to support the young generation. I know like how this equipment like expensive, and I know because like I don't have nothing when I was like stuck, and I help the Mongolians like make too easy to become like techno DJ and artist, like and I support young generations too. And now like young generation, they love techno, and many techno DJs grow up, and also like few techno producers and comes up in our country. And many people wonder about how Mongolia have like techno music scene. Like when I was start DJing, like when I start playing abroad, like people always ask me like, where are you from? If I say like Japan, like I'm like Chinese American, like people like very nice to me. Like if I say Mongolia, like man, are you come with your horse in here? Like, and still these things happen to me. But now it's much better, and also the artist knows about the Mongolia having a scene. And for me, like I'm very happy to like and every year like more youngsters loving techno music. My generation not like this, and youngsters like much better, and like they love rave music. And when I start, like it's not like this. Like always happen fights in my event. It's my country. Like since 2 years ago, I'm start to play like what I want, and before like always like play music to the crowd and the people. And but now like the young people like they love like place techno. Like another cities like the scene is not as much like the another cities. And so when I go there, like I play more like more soft, like melodic. For example, like between to Beijing to Mongolia. In Beijing, like there is like many good local DJs. Like they play like own styles. All the DJs like different, like funky DJ, like more Detroit techno. Like the scene is like actually much better than Mongolia. But in here in Mongolia, some of the artists like very similar sounds, because like they need to like travel, like they need to see like how Berlin goes, like how Berlin music industry and how UK many artists play in Berlin. They're like big bands like Depeche Mode. They're like playing once in a year or something. And this is like how musicians like comes from Berlin, because like they had like a lot inspiration to live in Berlin. For us in Mongolia, like they all listen about the bands, but they never seen them. Like, and this is the how the difference between the Berlin to Mongolia. And like Berlin is like very special city, and for my country, it's like all these things like I'm starting and I'm doing, like I'm looking for. This is how I prefer like Mongolian artists. If it's not me, like I'm make it possible to the young generations. And also the gay scene is growing in Mongolia. When I was young, like it was like very racist, like kind of thing. Like people beat some gay people. In new generation, like people understand each other. Like, okay, you gay, okay. Now I think that during the pandemic, most of the artists like doing daytime job or something, and it was like actually not well. Like it sucks. Like no income, like no fee, and but for me, it's okay. Like. And so like some of my friends invite me to play, and we did some like live streaming and something. And like whole the pandemic, like we did like only one great thing. It's like the festival in the Gobi Desert. And most of the tourists, when they come to Mongolia, the first place to go is like Gobi Desert. And it's actually a very nice place in our country. And so this year, actually, like if there is no pandemic, like no one go to the festival we organize. It's far from the capital, like 500 kilometers. And during the pandemic, like people like interesting, like okay, like let's get clubbing let's go to the festival in the Gobi Desert, and it's actually nice, you know. And during the pandemic, like. You know, like there's no international DJ, nothing. Like during the pandemic, like I did not that much gig, but I play, but it's, you know, like this is not I want to play. And for me, the future, like for me, like. They opened the techno club, but it's maybe like 3 years later, and now it's the club scene is not that much. I want to make my festivals as a great in Mongolia, like the Spirit of Gobi and like Intra Music Festival, and I'm more focused on that festivals to my country. For Mongolian DJs, they need to travel they need to see the different scene, and then they start them like own sounds. I think like they have to invest themselves to see how the scene goes in the world. Here in Mongolia have some good artists like producers. The one thing, they don't speak any language, and it's actually not good for like for the international DJs. I very appreciate it, like all the way from Berlin to introduce about the Mongolian Techno, and it's very nice to having me, and very nice to support the Mongolian artists to Berlin. And because like in Asian communities, like we support each other, and because like we also have in the club scene, and but the people really don't know like this is very hard to handling to keep the underground scene in Asia. Now all the clubs, like only local DJs, like call to the video to another city to like streaming and people enjoying and yeah, it's cool. And I have to say, thank you for inviting me.